Hi, welcome to the BariNation podcast, where we support the bariatric community with humor, humility, and honesty. I'm April.
I'm Jason.
I'm Natalie.
The reason we're cracking up is because for the past few weeks, every time I start to do our podcast intro, I say, hi, welcome to the East to West WLS podcast. And then we all just lose our ever-loving minds. But it's been on my heart. It's been on my mind, apparently. And I'm just saying it everywhere. I'm seeing it everywhere. It's flashback. What can I say?
It's retro.
It's retro. It's retro.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost been like, I think, it's definitely been 2 years, but I feel like, I don't know. Recently, I went back through like all of our history. I went way deep down our Instagram page, and it was like, oh my God, I cannot believe where we are versus where we started. And it almost brought up like those nervous feelings. Like, I mean, Jason, the first time you and I recorded, I forgot to hit record, and it was just like a shit show disaster. I mean, it was just insanity. And I can remember just being so like nervous and excited and all the things, and we got feedback from people. But yeah, now to, look at where we're at, it's kind of like, oh, wow. So I think I've just been going down memory lane.
It's been a journey, but it's been pretty damn amazing when you look back and see where we started to where we are now. And, to listen to people that have been with us since the beginning talk about how much they've changed and how we've helped them and how they've helped us. And it just is, it's a different kind of feeling. Because like some of you guys know, like I used to do other podcasts and stuff before I did this. And it's fun to do those kind of things. It's a little hobby, and you hang out with your friends and talk shit about sports or whatever else it is. And it's fun, but at the same time, like there's no like real purpose behind it other than killing time and hanging out with your friends. Mm-hmm. But this, just the journey that we've set out on for this is just absolutely different. And you just don't get the opportunity to do stuff like this all the time. So we're just supremely grateful for the fact that we're able to do this and actually help people and do things that people don't normally get to do.
Mm-hmm. And we've grown alongside all of you, which for me, that's what's so cool is seeing how we've changed, and also how you all have changed and grown. There are people that are dear friends that listen and that have supported us, that we talk to online daily, and to see you all grow like as we are growing, it's just like so freaking cool. But I will say I still get a little bit of the nervous jitters before we hit record, just because I'm excited and there's so much to talk about, and what is the conversation going to be like? And so we were joking before we hit record about like, oh, I'm so nervous. And it's like, well, actually, I still get a little bit like, oh, we're starting, like, I don't know. It's a thing. It never goes away, I don't think.
No. Well, and for us, it also is a little bit different too, because we don't edit this podcast. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but we literally hit record. We have a conversation. Somebody makes it sound not so zoomy, and that's it. Like there's no editing. It is a one shot, one take there, and while I think that does lend to the jitters a little bit, it also, I think for me, it just helps me have a more authentic conversation, right? Like I want to say, I want to ask, I want to do all the things because I know this is the opportunity to do it. And we're going to seize the moment and we're going to have those conversations, and not edit it. It's not like, I'm sure some episodes probably should have had some editing, but it is what it is.
But honestly though, I mean, we talk about that and think about that, but it's kind of it. That's our thing. Like we're so genuine in what we do and say, like we want all that in there because just like we talk about with bariatric life becoming our life, like this is also part of our life. So life happens around us with this, just like life happens around us with every other part of our journey. So, and I think that's what people appreciate about what we do and how we inform them about things that they may or may not know about, because that's the beauty of this, is that we get to come to you and inform you in a way that you relate to and understand.
And that carries over from the podcast, if you're listening and watching right now, to our Instagram page, to the membership community. It's all there. And it's because of everyone listening or watching or interacting with us or in the membership community. Like, the reason we're able to be authentic is because of all of you. So I know Jason at the end always says, you've got this, we've got you. Like, sometimes it's the other way around. Like, you've got us. And yeah, it's just been so cool to reflect. I've also been reflecting a lot, April, just about, like, we've come so far and we're going to continue to go even farther. So,
oh my gosh. Yep. And if it seems like things have been like crazy or off or different on our end, it's because it has been. Jason's been traveling. We have some huge like back end things happening. There's just a lot. Our team is growing. Our membership community is growing tremendously. We just got a lot of like things that are kind of coming down the pipe, and it's been a lot to manage because all three of us have day jobs and we do this when we're not working. So it's been a lot. But that's kind of what we want to talk today actually about is, our theme this spring is springing forward, right? How are we moving forward? How are we progressing in our bariatric journeys? And it is important that we take a moment and pause and reflect on what has been so that we can, really decide what direction we want to move forward in. And I think just, we've all been kind of doing it on our own, not knowing that we were all doing it, but right. Taking the time to pause and reflect and look back and I guess appreciate where you start versus where you are now, I think helps us take a deep breath. We've been talking about that a lot today. I've needed to take a lot of deep breaths today. But it gives us that moment to pause. And I know just the other night I was laying in bed, I couldn't sleep. And for whatever reason, I started scrolling through my own personal Instagram. And it was so odd because I just remembered thinking or doing or sharing so many things. But when I look at my Instagram, it's not there. Like, there's these moments of things, but I just can't believe how much learning and how much of my growth as a patient has really come through these conversations, through the podcast, through personal conversations, through the things that I'm doing and leading in the membership community now. But I'm so thankful for Instagram as kind of this touch point because it really helped, it helped me, I guess, wrap my brain around just how much work I am doing every single day, even on the days when it feels like I'm not doing anything or I'm going backwards. To go back through that feed was like, oh, okay, you need to like calm down. You've done a lot of growth. So,
Yeah. Look I was doing that not too long ago. We were talking about it when I was going through and looking at some of the pictures that we've uploaded from what was East to West and now BariNation, and going back and looking at all, like, every one of the, like, the thank you follower graphics that started all the way from our first 100 followers until now. And I remember how damn excited I got, like, watching the count go up. Like, I'd be like, oh, our first 100 people. Like, I was super excited. Like, Sarah and I were about to go into Aldi to buy groceries, and she was just looking at me and she's like, what's wrong? And I was like, we got 100 followers. Like, and we were so damn excited. But the funny thing about it is from that first 100 people, we're still just as excited every 100 people that we get. Like, every follower we get means so much to us because we know that's one more person that doesn't have to go through the journey by themselves. That's the whole reason we started this in the first place, was to help other people. Just because we got where we were doesn't mean we can't reach our hand back and pull the next person along with us. And that's really what, this journey has become for us. And, some call it a labor of love, some call it a passion project, whatever you want to call it. But, like, we found the meaning for our second lease on life. And that's something that a lot of people can't say. And so we're fortunate in many, many ways to be able to do what we're doing. And that, to me, is the biggest one. Like, the fact that we are actually able to put our passion to work for something of a greater good for this community that's so amazing.
And we, like April said, we are feeling the changes with you. There's been a lot of stretching over the last couple months, but really over the last week. that we're having to do as, April, Jason, and I are co-founders of BariNation, the membership community, podcast, Instagram, all of that. We've had to stretch and do different things in ways that maybe we don't really want to necessarily, but we know that it's going to be better in the end, right? Like, we're having to learn and change along with you all. And I was thinking about, like, when have I felt this way before? And it was when we were talking about making the switch over to BariNation from East to West. It was about 2 years ago that we started having those conversations. Mm-hmm. And I remember feeling the same, like, stretch and grind at the same time of, like, oh, but this is our baby. And, like, I don't know. There's a lot of similar feelings and emotions that I think we are all feeling, mm-hmm. That we felt 2 years ago. And so, yeah, it's definitely a time for some reflection and how can we live our best bariatric life during all of this, mm-hmm. too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's just dive in. Let's get to the meat of it, because there's a lot here.
Yeah.
And what you said, Nat, is it's so true, right? Like, I always kind of envision us as, like, we're just a part of this very long chain of humans, right? Like bariatric patients, and everybody's got a handout, in either way. And thank goodness there is somebody ahead of us who is reaching back, right, to help us. But we can also be the person that is reaching back and reaching right forward. And, in every facet of life, if you want to grow, you got to change. Mm-hmm. There's just no getting around that. It's just going to be the way that it's going to be. And even along, our bariatric journey, when we're talking about, the BariNation and all this stuff, it truly is about being okay with that discomfort that comes with change, and acknowledging, like, okay, I don't know what I need right now, and I'm going to have to find the person, the tool, the resource that is going to help me. And it is uncomfortable to just come out and say, I don't know how to do this. But if you want to get to that next destination, if you want to spring forward, you do have to kind of accept that help, and you do have to ask around. And for many of us, that is just not something that we are used to doing. We are used to being the leaders. We're used to being the one with all the answers. We're used to being the kitten corraller, all the things. So for us to have to go, ooh, I actually don't know what I'm doing, and I'm going to have to ask for help, can be uncomfortable on so many flippant levels. So many levels. But, I had to do that when I was battling my regain. I had to reach out to experts and professionals. I needed to start tracking my macros. I needed to learn how to cook different foods. I needed to onboard a GLP-1. I had to do all of these things if I wanted to move forward in my journey. And it was really uncomfortable. And it still is a little bit uncomfortable, but the more you do it, right, the more comfortable it gets. So I feel like this spring especially has been a journey for me of, like, getting uncomfortable again and accepting the help that I didn't think I needed.
Well, you guys know that I'm super comfortable with change, and I love it. Like, it's my favorite thing. Is, like, if we're always changing stuff, that'd be fantastic. I hate it. I don't like it. What I've had to do in order to not be so apprehensive about it is I have to look at it as not so much just a blatant change as I have a kind of a evolution. We're evolving. Mm-hmm. It's not so much that it's just a change for sake of change. Mm-hmm. It's an evolution so that we can get to the next level and, grow. Like, that's the thing. And so some of the stuff that you guys, that we've talked about that really got me, spun out, I think about it, and it's for the same exact reason, like what Matt said. It was the same way when we were talking about moving from East to West to BariNation. That really was, like, that was the hardest thing for me, specifically because, like what Matt said, like, it's our baby. Like, we built it, we grew it, we cultivated it, we watered it, we watched it grow, and it almost seemed like we were turning our back on that because it was time for something else. And then when I looked at it in a way of evolution and see what it's grown to now, I realized that, it's simply for the fact that change is scary. It's never going to not be scary. But surgery was scary. Post-op was scary. Pre-op was scary. Everything we've done to this point has been scary, and it's also been evolution. So we can't just let the fear of the evolution hold us back to keep us from getting to that, because that's essentially what it's going to do, is just keep us from getting to that next level. And the longer we sit and wait with it, much like we talk about, I wish I would have had surgery sooner. If you just give into and make sure, as long as the change is right for you, as long as you give into that and just don't take so long to make the decision to go with what's going on, it puts yourself in a better situation, a better place to just, see what the future holds for you. Because if you sit back and just worry about it all the time, you're never going to get anywhere. You'll stay where you're at and just wonder what if would have happened, or you'll start to regret the fact that you didn't change sooner, or you didn't go with the idea. Like, that's just something that you really have to, like, it's a mindset shift, and it's hard. It's not easy at all. But, we've shown ourselves up until now we can do hard things, and it doesn't kill us. It only makes us stronger. So,
Yeah. I think we run into, I don't know, like when we hit that wall is because sometimes you just get tired of doing all this work. Sometimes you get tired. It just starts to feel very heavy, right? It just starts to feel like, oh my God, I thought I would have this figured out by now. Nope. It's not the case, right? And Nat, you talk about this often. Laura talks about this often. We talk about it all the time in the membership community. But it's one of these things about how, like, you're never really going to get to the place where you have it figured out, because as our life progresses, so does our disease. Our disease continues to progress. So we're going to need new treatments. We're going to need new ways of tackling whatever's coming our way. And it's not that there isn't going to be these moments of kind of like, oh, okay, I can sit down, I can rest for a little bit, but it's going to keep coming. Life is going to continue to change. Your disease is going to continue to progress, and you're going to have to continue to work at it. And that's been something I've been really trying to wrap my head around this spring. And yeah, it's a big one.
And yeah, I mean, everything you said, April and Jason, it's hard to change. It's hard to evolve. And change really hit me at the beginning of this month in April. I ended up having to leave my job. And this was a job that it wasn't the best job, but I was like, I can stick this out for a little bit. I had good benefits. I was getting paid fairly well. And situations happened, and I was given I'm calling it an opportunity to leave my job. But that was really scary. And I don't cry in front of people often, but I remember talking to April and Jason and just being like, what do I do? Like, what? I had no idea that this would be me, this month. Obviously I took the opportunity, and I'm so thankful that I did, but I still get those moments, especially in the last couple of weeks, of like, like, why? Like, why do I have to change all the time? Can it just be comfortable for a little bit? And it reminded me of my grandma, and she basically, would say, if you don't change, you might as well be dead. Like, and I am sorry if I offended anyone with how blunt that was, but it's true. And I'm glad that I'm changing. I'm glad that I'm evolving. I'm glad that I'm learning this new footing, but it's uncomfortable. It's exhausting. I basically slept all of last week. Like, and I don't nap. I don't sleep in. Like, I am not that person. I was sleeping in until 8, which is sleeping in for me. And then I was taking just like huge midday naps. Like, I'm talking 3 to 4 hours, because I was just mentally exhausted and physically exhausted from all of this change that was ultimately forced upon me. But that being said, I felt the same way 3 years ago when I was when surgery was just starting to be another thought in my brain. I didn't make the decision until June of 2020, but I remember starting to think about it around this time, and I remember being really exhausted and fighting myself a lot. But now I'm here, right? Like I've lost weight, I'm learning, I'm working on my head work. It's all good things.
Yeah.
So I think when these changes are upon us, whether they're chosen or forced, we have to remind ourselves of the goodness that can come from it.
Yeah.
Well, there's no stopping the seasons. There's no stopping the change. There is just that is the way of the world. And the quicker that we can learn to adapt or adjust or onboard new tools and techniques, the better off we'll be. The challenge is trying to figure out, like, what do I need now, or what do I need next, or what is going to help, right? Do I revisit what I've done in the past? Do I try something completely new? And I think that, well, the key for me is that I just have to keep my eyes and my ears and my heart open to new things. I have to keep listening to people. I have to keep watching how people are moving through it, especially people who are further along in their journey than me. And I also have to see, like, what people are doing who I wouldn't think I would normally have anything in common with, because just because I'm like, well, I don't think I would jive with you, or I don't think, or our journeys are just so different. Okay, sure. But you could also be doing something that I really, really need. And if I wasn't engaging or interacting, if I wasn't listening, watching, I'd be missing stuff. I would be absolutely missing stuff.
Yeah.
Melanie Lindell a couple of weeks ago gave me this phrase, and I'm totally butchering it, so I'm just putting it in my own words, but she basically starts her day, her morning is hers. And she says, like, nobody gets my morning before I do. And it really got my brain thinking about how much of my day I'm giving away to things that aren't necessarily benefiting myself or anybody else. Like, I'm just giving this stuff away, and I start my day in chaos and everything just seems crazy. And even though I've got this like great plan for the day, it can just get thrown out the window because I instantly wake up and I'm like giving my time and attention away. And that's taking time away that I need to work on myself and make sure that I'm staying in compliance. Right. And the other thing that she really talked to me about was, like, why are you not doing all of these things for yourself that you should be doing? And you're just pouring it into here. It's a great question. I don't know. I think you just get caught up, and it's very easy for me to fall back into that caretaker role of, like, I'm just going to do all the things. Right. And then even though I do want to do things for myself, there's just no time. So this spring, right, this period of time is really for me about, like, okay, how do I pay myself in the morning? How do I pay myself first in the morning? How do I make that time for me? And how do I stop saying no to me? And how do I start saying no to other things and other people and other opportunities? Because it's almost like I need to switch my mindset. And it's like, if I haven't said yes to me, then I'm saying no to everything else. And I can't say yes to anything else until I have said yes to me first.
Well, it's almost like we're conditioned to hit the ground running and doing all the things for everybody else and making sure everything's situated and jumping right into work or jumping right into things, whether or not it's your mental checklist, which doesn't serve you at all, or whatever that may be, because you automatically start processing what your day's going to look like. And that's from a standpoint of, how can I get all of my things done? Not a checklist of, how can I serve myself best so that I can tackle the day in a positive way and make sure that I'm also taken care of? Whether that looks like taking breaks to walk, taking breaks just to breathe, taking breaks to make sure you get your water in, your protein in, your vitamins in. Because I know a lot of times, like, I still work from home and I'm tied to the phone. And so when I'm tied to the phone doing work, I don't think about getting up and walking around or getting up and taking a damn breath. Like, I just get so caught up in all the other things that don't serve me that if I don't regiment it out ahead of time, I will forget. And I just don't think about it until I, reach over for my water a couple times and it's empty. And it'll take 3 or 4 times of me grabbing it to go, oh shit, that's right, I got to get up and get water. And so it's super important. Like, I used to get up legitimately like 5 minutes before I had to log in. I've started waking up almost an hour earlier now, because I need time to sit back and think about, like, just kind of sit. I need time for me, not to have to get up and do all the shit for, just jump into the overdrive as soon as I hit the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I need the time to just kind of sit back and think about, what the day's going to look like. And I've started that with what the day's going to look like for me, not what it's going to look like for everybody else. So because that's the thing, like I really put a lot of stock into the whole, you can't, put your oxygen mask on before you help anybody else because you're no good to anybody else if you're dead. That's how that works. So, legitimately you burn yourself out. You can't do all the things and never worry about running out of gas. Like you'll never get to your destination if you don't stop by the gas station at least, once or twice on your way there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how road trips work.
I mean, this makes me so happy because for 2 years I've been like, you gotta get up earlier, Jason. Nah, I'm not gonna do that.
Nope,
I'm like,
not me.
listen. But it's true. I mean, I was talking with April and some other folks on our team about, like, someone asked me, what's the earliest you'll take a meeting? And I said, well, 9 in the morning, Pacific time, which is noon on the East Coast. And I said, because I get up at 6:30, I have my quiet time with Hooper. I, make sure I eat something for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
I make my water. I slow roll into my day because I don't like waking up rushed. If I know that I have a meeting at 8 in the morning,
yeah,
man, I have to get up at like 5:30 because then I need that time. I don't like getting up early. I really don't. Like, it's not preferable to me. I'm so conditioned now after many years of having to get up early. But when I do, and I have those, I don't turn on music. I don't turn on electronics, really. I mean, I have my phone with me, but I don't really use it. At least 30 minutes into my day is just quiet. And I make my coffee and I sit with Hooper and I just breathe and wake up. And it's the best thing I've ever done for myself.
It does make a big difference. And I mean, well, today, my freaking phone shut off and I was going to get up at 6 and it was 7:17 when, Grady was, I know when Grady woke me up and I was like, oh dear Lord, but it threw my whole day off. It like absolutely threw everything off. And it has just been like nonstop feeling like I'm playing catch up. And that's not a fun way to live. And it certainly doesn't help me reach my bariatric goals or be in compliance when I'm feeling that way. I've really been noticing the toll that that I've been paying for not paying myself in the morning or first thing, right? Whatever that is. And I can really notice the difference on the days that I can get that done. It's been a big gift. Yeah. Jason, how are you springing forward this season? Besides what you've said, you're taking time earlier in the morning for you, which is amazing.
Yeah. Other than that, I really honestly am starting to. I've realized that even with my tracking and things like that, I've kind of slacked off on that a little bit with traveling and stuff that we've been doing and different things that have been happening. So I've noticed that the progress that I had made from that isn't what it was. So I am really taking inventory of what I want most over what I want, right now, and really calling myself on my own bullshit about I don't have time and I don't, it's so much easier just to do this and I just really don't have time to do that. I don't like it's just, it's having those tough conversations with yourself that'll happen from time to time when you decide that you just want to take a little break. And my just like we talk about, my little break turned into a longer break, turned into a longer break, turned into many reasons for me to say I just can't, I don't have time right now. I'll do it on tomorrow or Monday or whatever. And I've realized that you guys know I was in New Orleans over the weekend for 2 separate events, and being around people that I have seen in various stages of their journey made me realize, had I not have ever messed around and, kind of slid back and let old habits come back in, how much farther on my journey I would be. And I think back to, you know, when I thought about having weight loss surgery 5 years before I actually had it, and how, you know, what that would have looked like now. You know, you always do the what ifs and the, you know, Monday morning quarterbacking, but this is something I had visible representation of. Like, it's not that, like, I saw people that were on the similar, you know, timeline journey as me, and I see how they are right now. And this isn't a comparison type of situation where I'm like, oh, look at them, they look so much better than I do, it's this and this. It's a legit, like, I had to have an honest conversation with myself and say, not even saying I would be where they are right now, but I wouldn't be where I am right now. I would be in a much better position, and I would be happier with myself in the progress situation. Not that I'm saying I would be happier if the scale, I'm not tying the happiness or the worth to the number on the scale, but I know I felt better. I looked better, which made me also feel better. There were just a lot of things that were better in accomplishment then than I am now. And if I think, you know, if I really thought about it, if I just would have stayed the course, stuck with the program, done what I had to do, I feel like I would be in a much better position and I would be happier with myself than I am right now. And I'm not going on I'm calling myself a bad bariatric patient or any of that. No, woe is me here. I just know that I wouldn't be up in my weight like I am right now. I may not still be at 285 where I wanted to be. You know, I may have settled at a different weight, and that's fine. But I know physically how I feel, and I don't feel near as good as I did. Now, I don't feel like I did pre-op where I'm, you know, have to sit down after 5 minutes. Like, I can still walk. I'm still mobile. I can still do all those things. But I notice things like as I stand for a certain period of time, parts of my back start to hurt, things like that. Things that are starting to creep back in that are reminiscent of how I was pre-op. And I don't like it. Like like I said, it has nothing to do with the number on the scale or the way the clothes fit or the way I look in pictures or any of that. It's a physical feeling I know that we all know and remember. And it just harkens back to a time that I wasn't happy with. So when, you know, I made the realization when I was gone that I was done with all the shit. Like, I'm like, there's no reason for me to continue to be half in, half out. I can't play this game halfway. I can't have 1 foot on the sidelines and 1 foot on the court. It doesn't work that way. The commitment stage is a commitment stage for a reason. And like we say, you could be in maintenance and have to slide back to, you know, to the commitment stage, but you can't have 1 foot in both. You can't be in maintenance and still trying to commit to your journey. It doesn't work that way. So if I'm going to firmly stand in the commitment side of things, I have to do it 100%. I can't sit back and go, well, I want to be committed, but this pizza's bomb. Like, I want to do this, but fuck, they had cupcakes at work today. Like, you know, there are times for those things, as long as you build it in and do what you got to do. I'm not doing those things. I'm like, pizza at lunch would be awesome, and follow that up with a cupcake. And, you know, I'm compiling things that are supposed to be minimal situations. I'm turning them into much more frequent situations, which does not lend to me being where I want to be. And I'm just at a point where I realize that I've got to commit. I can't do this the way that I've been doing it, and I know that. And so if I'm going to get any better or feel any better about how I'm doing this, I got to make changes.
Bro, Nat and I are like bursting at the seams, like happy, ecstatic for you. And just so you all know, if you're watching or listening, this is the first time Jason has ever said this shit to us. Like, we had no idea he was going to drop this like on us just right now. You would do that. You would do that.
I'm so proud of you. Like, the sense, I mean, these are conversations that we have had, you know, behind the scenes on the podcast. We know, you know, Jason, you started tracking again at the beginning of the year. You know, you've been working really hard on, you know, getting back to bariatric compliance. Like, you have been busting your ass. And I feel like this was the piece, the realization, that the conversation that you had to have with yourself in order to keep going and to push a little bit harder, right? Like you needed this to keep going and reach what you want to do. And I mean, everything that you've said so far in this recording is like, it's like a new person.
Oh my God, totally. Well, and I mean, what you're thinking, Jason, and what you're going through is what every single bariatric patient goes through. There is not a single person that can avoid this moment in their journey where you have, right, some old habits, some old things have come back. You're experimenting, you're wondering, right? You're struggling, you're doing all this stuff. And every single one of us has straight ghosted our own journey, taken a break, said like, I don't want to do this anymore, attempted to live in both worlds, like all this stuff. But we have also gotten to the point where you're at. And it's like, you know what, if I just would have, and we start shitting on ourselves, I should have done this, I should have done that, I wish I would have done that. But if we can move beyond that place and go, okay, I can clearly see where some habits, some actions, some thoughts have limited my ability to progress in my life. And you can really clearly, kind of without judgment, is exactly as you did, just say, okay, I can see how those decisions impacted where I currently am at. And I think when you can see those things without judgment, you really can get to the place where it's just like, no, I'm not going to do those things anymore. Like I've seen the math, I've done the math, I'm living the math on this path. It's not what I want.
And y'all know I suck at math, so that's part of the reason why I'm having such a hard time. But I mean, you honestly, we get to a point where we're like fucking, you know, we try to become something that we're not, which is like a chemistry professor, and figure out how we could, you know, shortcut the journey. And the journey's the journey, like the journey's forever. So why I think I can continue to do the things that you know, some of the things I used to do and still get to where I want to be, where the people that don't do those things are living. And I'm like, no, I can do it if I just do it this way, but I have to do it this way to do it that way to do it this way. And it's just not, this shit just doesn't add up. Like you said, like I'm horrible at math and that math ain't mathing. So
dude, I think you're at where I was at a couple months ago, right? And I legit almost lost my ever loving shit because I really had to come to terms with, I really hadn't changed anything. You know what I mean? It was like, cool, I weigh less, I'm looking fab, like all this kind of stuff. But when I really checked in with myself, it was like, I really haven't changed a single thing. I think I have, but I haven't. And it was in that moment that I really realized, okay, if I want to live at this weight, if I want to be this metabolically well for the foreseeable future, I actually have to change. I legit have to do things differently. And it wasn't one or two things. It was like, oh, I got to change everything. I really do have to change everything. And I'm still in the process of figuring out and working through those changes. But I was exactly where you were at. And it was like, oh, shit. Okay. Like, oh, this is what it means. Well, and my dad years ago, when I kind of really first embarked on this weight loss journey, he came across a quote and it really changed his life forever. My dad made a complete 180 shift in his life. He went from being one person to another, behavior, mindset, all that kind of stuff, really a complete shift. And the quote that he always refers to, and again, I'm going to butcher that, but it's basically like, change only occurs when the pain of remaining the same is too great to bear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all get to this point where we realize I have not actually changed. Everything is the same, but we've seen like the promised land, you've seen the other side, right? And you're like, okay, but that is truly what I want. And when that pain of staying the same is just too great, then we flip the switch, because it's a little bit easier now for me to just go move, right? It's like, no, there are 3 things that I have to do every day if I want to live this life, this bariatric life well: movement, mindset, metabolic wellness. I don't want to move. I don't want to get sweaty. I don't want to shower 2 times a day. It doesn't matter. I have to do that if I want to right? Continue to have the results that I'm having. I need to eat these certain foods. I need to drink this water. I have to prioritize this. I have to get up early. It's no like, oh, I don't want to. It don't matter that I don't want to.
Yeah.
This is what I have to do.
Yeah.
Dude, that's huge, Jason. Like, that's pretty monumental. That's like a big thing to realize as you're like hanging out with Barry friends.
Yeah, and it's kind of, you know, one of the things about it that I was thinking about while I was kind of processing everything going on. The worst thing that can happen is, for me anyway, was that a lot of the clothes that I was wearing that I had worn before still fit. But so, you know, kind of in our minds, we can be like, oh, well, shit, clothes are still fitting. Everything's still good. Like, I can keep going the way I'm going. But it shouldn't take growing out of clothes if you know they fit different. They feel different, if they're not hanging the right way, if they don't, you know, because I can look back at pictures of myself wearing the same outfit and know that it doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same. I don't feel the same wearing the outfit that I did before. And that's when I had to really check in with myself and say, you know what got you here. You know what'll get you out of here. It's just, do you want to be where you were, or do you want to stay where you are? And, you know, I had, you know, a lot of time this weekend to think about it. And then I had an 8-hour drive home to process it. And it legit, like, it was hard. It wasn't easy because I had to be, you know, truthful with myself in a lot of ways I didn't really want to. It was uncomfortable. But it happened, and I knew that I wasn't, you know, I had the evidence to say, it was irrefutable at that point. I couldn't say, oh, well, it's okay because I'm, you know, doing this. Or it's okay because, you know, it's not as bad as it was. Like, at least I'm not doing what I did. I don't weigh, you know, I'm not back to 460, but I can be really quickly if I continue to talk to myself in that way. And if I continue to start, you know, keep showing myself side doors and trap doors and all these things I can go to get around and not have to deal with the shit, that's exactly what's going to happen. I'm gonna it's okay myself right back to 468 pounds.
And yeah, I mean, you had the conversation that we all had when we chose to have bariatric surgery, right? I mean, that's the same conversation that April had with herself a couple of months ago, that you had this weekend, that I have had with myself. You know, and you're going to have to continue to have that conversation, and it's going to be the exact same conversation every time. You know, do I want to be where I was, or do I want to live a bariatric compliant life? And that's a really hard question to ask yourself, because the latter, well, neither is easy, right? We always say choose your hard. You know, do you want to have it hard at 400 pounds, or do you want to have it hard working at your bariatric life? Yeah. And you're going to have that conversation with yourself. I mean, we get people all the time in the membership community. Oh, I thought I would be done by now. Oh, I thought you know, there's no after. It doesn't end. You're going to have to keep checking in with yourself. And it's hard. It fucking sucks. Like, it's not good. Like, it's not great. No. But this is what we have to do.
And somebody the other day, one of our members and friends, she made a comment and she was like, yeah, what we actually need is community. And that doesn't come in the binder. No, it does not. No, it does not, which is why these conversations and these opportunities to just talk through what you're thinking is powerful. Like that is the path forward. And we've been saying it, you know, for a while. I mean, obesity is an isolating disease. And if we want to do it differently, we have to not isolate ourselves. We have to have these conversations with other people. We have to have these conversations with ourselves. We have to check in. We have to do the hard. We got to acknowledge, like, shit. Okay. And just as like what you said, Jason, the only path forward is forward. There is no shortcut. There is no, it's this. This is
the work.
No. You know where you can have those conversations though is in BariNation. the membership community. We have them daily.
This we
Just
have them
saying.
hourly. Yeah. Hourly.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the
It's
minute.
hourly at this
There's
point.
only roughly 100 chances a month to have this conversation.
Yeah.
So.
Roughly. Well, dude, Jason, as you were saying this, I was like, oh my God, your Space and Grace meetup is going to be straight fire because of what these realizations that you're having. I mean,
Yeah.
and for other people to know that, like, when they are thinking this, they're not alone, that there's literally a place for them to go and be like, oh my God, Jason, I think I'm thinking the same thing, and have an opportunity to talk about it with somebody else who gets it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible.
I mean,
right.
not to brag, but I'm totally going to brag because it's the raddest thing ever. It's the raddest thing ever.
It's pretty sick.
It's pretty sick.
We did a thing. We did a thing. It's helping. It's helping lots. So,
Just a small thing.
You know.
But really though, I mean, I think, and it goes back to what you said, April, about looking on your Instagram and being like, wait, but where did all this growth happen? It's like,
Oh yeah.
It happened in BariNation. Like it happened in those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I both have been working on attending groups regularly. I have been attending groups very regularly since last August.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the same thing. The things that I'm posting on Instagram now are just fun things.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I get deep, but not really. And I'm like, wait, but I'm so different. Like I look at pictures and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so different. I'm a completely different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that come from? Well, it's because I attend Laura's, emotional eating support every week, or it's because I attend Profi in Progress with Danielle. It's like I'm doing those things consistently and sustainably so that I can live my bariatric life. But that's where those conversations happen in real time, and you can process in real time, which is like mind blowing.
Yep. I realized that the other day too. It was like, oh my God, I couldn't go to the group that I normally go to, and I was feeling like things are off. And it's like, oh my God, it's because like that is my accountability. That is my check-in. And not every single person is going to be at the same group or meetup or whatever that I'm at, but it's that consistency of the person on the other side who's going to listen and ask questions, or it's the consistency of me just taking in what other people are going through so that I can connect with myself again. Like, oh, I remember that, or, oh, I need to be on the lookout for that. If I'm not having those conversations, right, it's a safe place for me to practice what being a bariatric patient looks like almost 4 years post-op. That's where the work goes. The Instagram and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's like it's the fluff, which is so weird, but it definitely has transitioned in my own life too. And there are very big things happening. I mean, you guys know I hit 199 and I'm almost 4 years post-op. It's the lowest weight I've ever weighed as an adult. And it's huge. And I thought I was done losing weight a year ago. I thought there's no way, right? Like the only option for me now was a little bit of regain and then just work my butt off to maintain whatever that weight was. But no, that's not the case at all. That was a false sense of reality that I was telling myself a story that was not true. And it really took the safety of the community to go, there's a different story here. There is a different path. There is a different future. And just like what you're doing, Jason, I'm the only one that is in control of that future. And it's happened because of the little and the big things that I have been doing, even inconsistently, but consistently. And the biggest thing that's changed is I consistently showed up to the supports in BariNation as a patient, as a patient.
Yeah.
So, well, and it took like we even had to have hard conversations with ourselves to know that we could do that. Like we thought we created this thing and it was great for everybody, and we'd be here if they needed us on the back end. Like we thought we were support for the community that we created, and like, oh, if you guys need help with passwords or anything else, like we got you, or whatever you want to do, like let us know. And then we started realizing, like, wait, we need to be like in there. Like,
why am I struggling? I don't know.
I remember.
Why am I stressing so bad? Everybody else in the community is doing fantastic, and you're like, oh shit, wait. because they're
I
using the
think
support and we're not.
I remember literally, I think I texted this to April and Jason being like, I think I'm going to attend one of Laura's support groups this week. Like that was so revolutionary for me to
And it was funny.
attend.
It was funny because we were like, that's a pretty good idea. But we let you do it. And we were just like, yeah, cool. Go ahead. Let us know how that goes. And it's like, we all should have been like,
Listen,
yeah,
I'm
we're going to
not to brag, but our dear friend Christine Mason has given me the Gold Star founder badge because I attend groups consistently. So
This
I'm
is
just
true.
gonna say that.
This is true. This is
You
true.
deserve
Yes.
the gold star, Natalie. We will
Yeah.
let you.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
now, we're coming for you. So just know that, yeah, that you might not
I don't
have that.
know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you got a bit of a head start. Miss Nat, what about you were clearly much better at managing your time than we are. We're working
Oh my
on it.
gosh.
We're working it. Clearly. Miss Nat, what about you? How are you springing forward this season?
Oh man. I had a little bit of a detour with my job situation. So I feel like spring is just now springing for me.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, attending groups. I attended Set It Up Sunday yesterday.
I love that.
Which, like, if you guys don't attend that, it's amazing. We literally just carve out time to set up our week every Sunday. And full disclosure, because I'm also checking in about my goals for this year. I had not touched my planner since mid-February. Just gonna put that out there as accountability. I did not touch it. But you know what I did? I just picked it up and I went to this week and I just didn't even think about it. I was like, we're starting here. Like this, it's okay. So that's the main one, is just like, okay, let's spend time with our planner. Let's really sit down and plan out our week. But also just like getting back into meetups and support groups. Going back to my basics. I was telling April before the call, like, I haven't eaten enough today because I've been working on BariNation things and getting caught up in that. So I guess, yeah, kind of like refinding my routine, because I had like a week or so of time where it just like was in this weird limbo space. And I didn't have a routine. And so, you know, this week especially, I'm just, okay, let's get up at the same time that we used to. Let's, you know, spend time with our planner like we were doing. Let's plan our meals out. Let's get our water in. Like I'm really having to be intentional with those 3 pillars, because I wasn't for especially the last 2 weeks, but I reflecting back really was not being consistent for quite probably since mid-February, if I'm being honest, because of travel and not being in my home. I was house sitting for a good chunk of that time. Like a lot of things were just happening and I just was not in my routine. So yeah, for me, it's just getting back to a routine and being intentional about it.
Right. It's the pillars are very clear, but implementing them is where it gets sticky, right?
Yes.
Movement means any type of movement that's above and beyond what we normally do.
Yep.
Right. There's a lot of ways to do it. There's a lot of ways to say no to it. Mindset means something different almost every single day. Sometimes it means like pivoting and focusing, you know, noticing what you're thinking throughout your entire day. That's exhausting. Metabolic wellness. There's a crap ton of stuff that goes in with that, right? It's your food, it's your doctor's appointments, it's your vitamins, it's, you know, it's all that kind of stuff. So while they look clean and clear on the surface, when you actually start to implement them, it can be challenging. The flip side to that, though, is that we don't have to do all of the things. We just have to do something in each pillar. And if we can do that every single day, we are going to have very good days. That's just where my head's at, right? And I'm kind of like, where all three of us are at. It's like, okay, movement, mindset, metabolic wellness. Every day I have to do one thing in each of those pillars, right? Like that's how this is going to work. And if I don't, it's not going to be good. Jason, you freaking weirdo. Yeah.
I kicked the charger and pulled everything back. Okay.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I keep going back to this popped into my head today, and it's so silly, and I don't know why it popped into my head, but I was walking Hooper. It's a beautiful day in the Pacific Northwest today. So we took an extra long walk. Ever. I know, it's been ages, you guys.
Ages.
And I was just reflecting and thinking and listening to some music, and the term weebles wobble, but they don't fall down kind of came into my head, and I can't get it out of my head now, because that's what this was. It was just a little wobble, and I'm not going to fall down, but this weeble was wobbling for a little bit, you know? I don't know why that popped into my head, you guys. I have no idea. I have not heard that term in a decade, I'm sure. But it's true. I mean, that's how I feel right now, is like, oh, okay, I don't know, my legs are sea legs right now, and I don't know how to walk and all this stuff, but I'm still continuing forward. And I think that's really the point of the theme for spring, is just like, okay, winter sounds like it was tough for everybody. It was very tough for me. And how am I going to get myself out of it? And it's by leaning on the pillars and being intentional with it and moving forward. But I had to share that with you guys, because I was like, where did that even come from? Like, it just kind of popped into my head, like, weevils wobble, but they don't fall down. True, but brain, where did that come from?
Dude, the universe delivers when we need it. So remember how I told you, like, I was going through my Instagram feed, and I was like, wow, April from 2.5 years ago, you were so smart. I literally screenshotted something that I posted. It was like way deep on my Instagram feed, and it was exactly what I needed to see, the universe delivering. And I'm going to read it because this is what I do. So this quote from young Pueblo: next time you feel agitated because you were falling back into past patterns, remember that simply being aware that you have fallen back into repeating the past is a sign of progress. Self-awareness comes before the great leap forward in your personal transformation.
Absolutely.
Yep. And we say that all the time.
Yeah.
But we say that all the time, right? We say it in BariNation groups. We say it to each other. Like, the fact that we, us three, and anyone listening is even having this conversation shows the immense growth and learning and perseverance that we have done. And I think that is where that reflection piece comes in. I know we all kind of talked about that at the top. Like, you have to reflect back, because you're gonna feel like you are just getting nowhere and running in mud.
Yep. It's the looking back to see how far you've come. But if you don't pause and look back, you're never going to realize it. It's just not going to happen.
Yep.
Who would have thought?
Not me.
I mean, no, not me. Neil, no. Dude, when Anna said that the other day, I was like, oh my God, it's so true. Everything that I relied on the most in my bariatric journey wasn't in the binder. I was technically done with the binder in like the first couple months. Everything that has actually made the biggest difference in my life, it had nothing to do with that. And the further I get away from surgery, the more I am understanding that and embracing that. And I'm just so thankful that we've got a community, we've got a space, we've got experts, we've got patients that are willing to take this journey with me. Because the only reason I've been successful is because of all those things, not because of my binder.
Same.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, my friends. Well, thank you for this wonderful conversation. It was nice to just like check it. Like we legit have not done this in a hot minute.
Months.
So, months. Literally months.
Been a while.
been a while. Yeah. And Jason, thank you for sharing your aha moment with us. That's a big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I felt it appropriate.
We're shocked, but
Yeah.
not really. Yeah. Oh my God. Jason, my friend, you want to take us out?
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you ladies for joining me this evening and walking with me on this this mind-blowing journey. And I honestly, we thank the community, we thank everybody, but I thank the both of you because without you two, I realized this weekend just what we've been able to do and how much I wouldn't have had this realization of what my purpose in life would have been post-op if it hadn't been for you two. And you guys have been immensely key in my journey, and that means the world to me. I know that I can pick up the phone at any time and get in touch with either one of you all, and you guys will help lift me up, set me straight, celebrate with me, be upset with me, all the things. I know that I have that in both of you as partners, friends, family, all of those things. And I can't thank you all enough for being that for me so that we can connect, connectively be that for everyone else. So thank you
Thank
both.
you.
Friend.
Thank
We
you.
love you.
You're very welcome. I love you too. And for the community as well, please do not think that we don't love you just as much, because we absolutely do. We couldn't do what we do without you guys being there to help support us so that we can support you back. So all of the likes, the shares, subscribes, the telling friends that we're here so that they don't feel like they're alone either has been amazing. And we appreciate you and just implore you to continue to do so, because we don't want any one patient out there feeling like they're not supported in the best and most comforting way possible. And do not forget to continue to give us ratings on your favorite podcast player, as well as our YouTube channel and the Spotify app. You can also leave us voice messages that we can incorporate into future episodes of the podcast, because we love highlighting you guys as well, because you guys helped us build this, so why not have a voice in the matter? But other than that, you've got this, we've got you, and we will see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.